good afternoon or good evening almost. Last but not least for the day, Manufacturing Data Exchange Specification MDES. My name is Jasper Sanders. I'm a product manager at ModuleWorks, and here with me today is Sven Odendahl, Dr. Sven Odendahl, who's the head of technology for our digital factory business area. In case you're not familiar with what we are doing at ModuleWorks, ModuleWorks is a German software company headquartered in Aachen, Germany. It was founded in 2003 as a software SDK provider, let's say a component provider for manufacturing, and we have achieved a quite unique position in the market that is the only single source provider for toolpath and simulation solutions from a single source. A few numbers: we have about 200 plus employees spread across multiple locations in Europe and the world. Of these 200 plus employees, 75% developers, software developers. Over the years, we've achieved a code base of the size of 1,500 person years, for the better or the worse. Giant code base also has its downsides, right? But there's a lot of value inside these years. We have achieved roughly 75% market reach in the last years, meaning in 3 or 4 CAM systems that you will find in the market, it's likely that ModuleWorks components are present. That means that in theory, 500,000 end users in the market of CAM are using ModuleWorks software. We are proud to list more than 200 companies as our partners, and many of them are present on the exhibition, and it was a great time here talking to all our partners. And yeah, in the last years, there are also things that we learned from working with these many partners, and that is that the world of manufacturing is polyglot. There are many many languages. In the end, it always boils down to the same idea, which is how do we get from idea to finished part. And this process usually follows the same steps anywhere in the world. We start with product design, often also happening outside the actual manufacturing company. Then we have manufacturing engineering, production planning, and afterwards production execution. And hopefully we have a finished part that is in specs and can be shipped. Across these process steps, you will find different software systems. In product design, you will find CAD. In manufacturing engineering, you will find CAM software and dedicated simulation systems. In production planning, you will find production planning and control systems. And in production execution, you will find CNC controls, presetters, and software systems which are related to the CNC control, so IT systems on the CNC machine tool. And in order to ensure smooth operations, you need a bidirectional data flow between all these systems. To achieve this, manufacturing companies usually apply some sort of data backbone. It can be a PDM system as an enterprise solution, but can also be a more simple solution, a Microsoft SharePoint network drive. Depends on the size of the company. But when it comes to the description, the digital description of manufacturing equipment, that is fixtures, tooling, setups, the problem is that all these systems come usually from different suppliers, and every supplier is speaking its own language when describing manufacturing equipment. The CAD system might be coming from China, the CAM might be coming from the US, the PPC system might be a German one, and the CNC a Japanese one, and all of them have a different wording to describing, for example, a vise. This is limiting the bidirectional data flow that you need for smooth operations, and we are proposing a common language that replaces these proprietary data formats in data exchange. Instead of building connectors between proprietary data formats, point-to-point connectors, we introduce an open and universal language for the description of production equipment. And this is called MDES, Manufacturing Data Exchange Specification. With MDES, we hope that we can untie the bidirectional data flow and replace the need for proprietary connectors between software systems and unlimited data flow to ensure smooth operations. MDES as a common language should facilitate the information flow in manufacturing software landscapes by proposing, first of all, an open specification for the digital representation of production equipment, and second of all, being complemented with a ready-to-go software component from ModuleWorks. The scope of MDES, the current scope, includes cutting tools, fixtures, setups, and they are mounting and machine tools, and it's based on existing industry standards. So for cutting tools, we are basing our specification, for example, on ISO 13399, and for fixture devices, we are basing it on the DIN 4000, 4003 standards for the description and exchange of production equipment. But there's more to come. The vision is much bigger than just equipment. We are already thinking about standardizing descriptions for machine tools and for the description of operations and production jobs for the purpose of simplifying data exchange. What does that mean in practice for, let's say, CoolSim? CoolSim Incorporated provides a great simulation system, but to make this simulation system a success, it must be integrated into the software landscapes of manufacturing companies. And at these manufacturing companies, you find different CAM systems. For example, SuperCAM, which is very widespread, has a big market share in their client base, and PicoCAM, which has a smaller market share but is still relevant. So we at CoolSim, we develop some sort of point-to-point connection based on, e.g., a plug-in API that SuperCAM might provide. And then there are collision avoidance systems running on the machine tools on the shop floor. And again, we form some sort of project with the machine tool builders running MachProtect, build some point-to-point connection. Then there is a tool library called ToolStore, and we use their public interface to connect this tool library to our CoolSim product. But we have formed only 3 connections, and we are still not reaching PicoCAM users, CallAvoid users, and Tools for Life users. The thing is that you need to invest more and more efforts into building more and more connections, right? So the connection between value created and efforts invested to form these data bridges is linear. The more effort you invest, the more you get out of it. It's actually not that linear on the effort side. It's actually going up a bit because you have to consider maintenance effort, right? But if you look at what we propose with MDES, is that we establish it as an open language in the middle, in the center of this ecosystem of complementers to enable the data exchange between all these systems. And that means that you as CoolSim only need to supply this one data format to get interconnectivity with all the other systems in the software landscape, meaning that your efforts don't go up, right, with more connections forming, but they stay limited after a first initial effort of adopting this new format. They're still growing a bit. The standard will be extended, right? And you need to maintain it. But the value created will grow exponentially. The more members adopt this standard, the more connections you can form, the more data you can exchange. The value will continue to grow without you investing significant additional efforts. So the value proposition of this ecosystem is that we replace the need for point-to-point bridges for data, and that the value growth could be exponential. The open specification that we publish is open, public, right? Publicly available on the domain that we list at the end, and it's royalty-free. There are some license conditions, right? We keep it under control so that it cannot diverge and that it doesn't split up into multiple different concurrent file formats, but it's basically open for anyone to adopt. You don't need some sort of business relationship with ModuleWorks. We, instead of being a software component provider and selling this to everyone, we try to act as an orchestrator. And what we want to do is we want to drive adoption for this open specification in the market by talking to you on such events, right? By evangelizing and leading and moderating extensions of the standard. So we are publishing an initial version now. We are looking forward to hear the feedback of everyone in the industry and to develop this further. And we see our role mainly as, let's say, a moderator of the community forming, hopefully, around this new open specification. To make this a success, one thing is very critical, and that is overcoming the critical mass, which is a bit obvious, I guess. That's why it's called critical. And what we want to do to help overcoming this critical mass is providing a ready-to-go software component which enables the reading and writing, the handling of these MDES compliance data sets that describe digital production equipment. And it's part of our SDK, so every one of our many partners, of our 200 plus partners in the industry, CNC machine tool builders, control manufacturers, CAM companies, will have access to this software library to quickly use MDES data in their systems together with our toolpath and simulation components. And it's, of course, fully compatible with any third-party integration of the specification. So anyone writing MDES files will get connectivity to ModuleWorks-based systems which use this functionality of our SDK. So what we think is that with the help of our big partner network of all the companies that are here today, we can overcome the challenge of reaching a critical mass and make MDES a de facto standard in the market that makes data exchange much easier. It will reduce the adoption barriers for the solutions of you who adopt MDES, right? It's much easier for you to place your products in the software landscapes of your customers by this new interconnectivity. You will reduce your development and maintenance efforts because you don't need to develop new point-to-point bridges. You don't need to maintain point-to-point bridges. And you will, of course, gain additional flexibility in upgrading systems, right? You're not limited anymore by point-to-point bridges, which needs to be updated in order to roll out new toolpath technologies to your client base. So what I would like from you, when you go back to your office after you return home from EMO, maybe Monday next week, that you visit our website, mdes.info, to learn more about the initiative, about the open specification, and to ask yourselves and your colleagues, how can MDES contribute to our data exchange strategy? How could MDES help us reduce development and maintenance efforts on our side? And what else could we need from MDES? How do you need to extend the standard to make it valuable for you? Reach out to us. Our contact details are here, either to me or Sven. And yeah, I would be very happy to hear your questions now regarding MDES. Thank you.